Well, listen, he is losing. And if he doesn't change course, both in terms of the substance of what he's discussing and the way that he approaches the American people, then he will lose. There's no question that while these national polls are less significant in terms of the raw numbers, the trend is obvious. The trend is moving towards Joe Biden when Joe Biden hasn't said a word. Joe Biden's hiding in the basement and not saying anything. No discredit to the vice president. If you're winning without doing anything, why do anything?
So that was former Trump advisor and New Jersey Governor Chris Christie giving his blunt assessment on the Trump campaign. This in light of a new USA Today Suffolk poll that shows the president down 12 points against Joe Biden. Is he going to change his message? What strategy is the campaign pursuing? The campaign's director for strategic communications, Marc Lotter, joins me now via Skype for more on this. Good to see you, Marc. How are you?
Good to see you.
Absolutely. Marc, I wanted to be able to get your reaction to that Chris Christie shot. I mean, he was joined another, Tucker Carlson also warned the president could lose this election. Corey Lewandowski and others, your friends are also reportedly saying the same thing. How is the campaign receiving this? Do they reject such a framing? What's your reaction to this?
Well, I think that the results the president is achieving is what's going to win the day. We just had another jobs report come out today that not only did they revise last month's jobs from losing over 2 million to gaining 3 million jobs, we also found out in June that the country has added another 2.4 million jobs. So that's over about 5.5 million jobs created in the last 2 months. It shows the American economy is ready to take off. And if we can shake off the coronavirus and get through this, I think we're going to see this economy take off. That confidence is going to be back, and people are going to see that the president's leadership is what got us there.
Mm-hmm. But one of the key things you just said there, Marc, is that we have to shake the coronavirus off, and yet we have cases that continue to spike all across the American South. So it's not really something that you can bank on, is it, whenever we're going into the election? I mean, we're only a few months away from Election Day.
I think we've got to keep this in perspective in the fact that most of the new cases we're seeing a lot of them are in younger people.
Right.
The death rate is not climbing like we had seen in the earlier parts of this year. And we are much better prepared to be able to handle this increase in just positive cases. A lot of these new cases are asymptomatic cases. And so while we need to be prepared, we need people to continue doing the guidance that is issued by the CDC, the Coronavirus Task Force, and their local officials. We also have to remember that what we had 2 months ago is not what we're facing today. And we can learn to do more than one thing at once. Be safe, be productive, and be back to work.
Yeah, I do think that is an incredibly key piece of information, which a lot of the media are not reporting accurately. One interesting thing that caught my eye, Wall Street Journal piece, it talked about how the campaign wants to run Trump like a challenger against Biden, given how successful he was at doing that. Steve Bannon had an interesting quote in there when he said, actually, that Trump needs to run as a protagonist and as the president. What do you make of this? What is the fundamental message that you think and the way that you're going to be running against Biden now in the coming months?
Well, I think it's very clear. I mean, President Trump is still the president that he was when he ran in 2016. He's running against an entrenched establishment in Washington, D.C. that would rather not solve problems just because it gets them more funding and more votes long term, when the president is a problem solver. He wants to fix things and push back against the bureaucracy, the deep state. It's not something that can be done in just 4 years. And on the other hand, you've got Joe Biden, who's been in public office for 50 years, running as the guy on the outside. You had 50 years to fix these problems, Joe. You didn't do it. In fact, It took Donald Trump to fix things like today. The USMCA replaces the horrible NAFTA deal that Joe Biden supported that hurt our farmers and sent our manufacturing jobs overseas. It took a Donald Trump to do it, not just a lot of talk from hollow politicians like Joe Biden.
Well, another interesting thing I see, Marc, is I see this effort by the campaign saying Biden is being co-opted by the far left. I think that is true in some cases. But, one of the things that struck me is that in this statues debate, he came out yesterday during his press conference, and on Confederate statues, he said he think they should be taken down. And then whenever it came to statues of Washington and Jefferson, he actually thought they should be protected. That strikes me as a much more middle of the road position. So is he being co-opted by the far left? Is he not? How do you look at it?
Well, I think it changes every single day. I mean, this is a man who for 40 plus years opposed taxpayer funded abortion. And now that he's running for president with the new left, It is taxpayer-funded abortion up until birth. This is a man who now says one thing about the environment, but well, now he supports the Green New Deal. He believes that energy jobs, shale and fracking jobs should be eliminated in Pennsylvania and across our country because he is being ruled by AOC on the environment. And other places like Beto O'Rourke going to be taking guns away from people and sending police door to door to do it. Well, he's in charge of Biden's gun policy. So in time and time again, what Joe Biden might be saying, he's not backing up with the people who are advising him. And I think what we're seeing going on in America's cities right now, whether it's statues, whether it's autonomous zones, defunding the police. You had AOC just yesterday say, defunding the police means defunding the police. You know, she's one of Biden's top advisors. Biden's rhetoric and the people who are backing him, propping him up, aren't the same.
Well, an interesting point. Mark, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it, as always.
Good to see you.
Absolutely. Next on Rising, with close Biden ally Senator Chris Coons expecting to be influential in a Biden administration, what does it mean that that senator is now seriously discussing filibuster reform? Crystal and I's thoughts on that when Rising returns. It's a pre-tape segment. She is not back from vacation as much as I wish she was. That's next.